Hey guys, welcome to this video. So today a cool little trick. It's a bit complicated, but bear with me. So this is in my opinion the best way to actually add punch when all the other ways fail. Say you try to layer a more punchy kick, you try to shape the drum with compression, but you just can't get enough punch. Or even if you try a transient designer, the transient designer doesn't detect properly because of the long subtail, it doesn't detect properly. So how do you actually create punch in any kind of drum the best way? So the first way is actually to just you just need to use the drum sample. So this one, for example, this one's actually not too bad, but it's just for example purposes. As you can see, it's already a bit punchy, but it could be a bit more. So why not? So what we're going to be using is a multiband compressor that has a sidechain function. And so the first way to do it is with internal sidechain. So we're going to make the compressor listen to the high end only to get an accurate trigger. And that trigger from the high end of the drum itself is going to trigger some low end expansion, really quick low end expansion to create some kick, basically. So the first step is actually to create a band like that. And we actually put this in expansion mode. And maybe we put the range like that. And then we enable the internal sidechain. And we make sure that the compressor will only listen to the high end, because the high end is very short, it's more defined, more accurate for a trigger. So that's what the compressor is listening to, right? So now we got an accurate trigger. So we need to turn off audition. And here you can see we have an accurate image for the expansion to happen. So shortest attack, pretty short release. Boom, 3 massive low end punch every time, accurate every time, exactly like you want. Pretty cool, right? So now there is a second way. So in a couple situations, it just wouldn't work because say the treble from your drum is just too flat and it's not an accurate trigger. It's like a really whooshy high end and you actually can't get a short enough trigger to actually get the right length of punch in the low end. Or say, for example, you got a high end riser whoosh right before the hit. And because of that, that high end from that riser kind of mistriggers the transient. And that also wouldn't be good. So if that's the case, you can just use an external signal, like an 808 hi-hat or something, just to kind of trigger the compressor exactly at the right spot. So I just put these hi-hats right on the hits, and that's actually going to tell my compressor, that my expander, that, oh, this is exactly when the drum happens and I need to boost. So that's how it works. And then what you need to do is actually put the multiband in external sidechain mode. You sidechain the 808 to the drum sound, and now the compressor is going to be listening to the hi-hat. And in the end, the same result. Tight kick. So I just want to take a minute to explain why I think this way of doing it is much more powerful than many, if not all, of the other ways. So you could use a transient enhancer, but if it's single band, you're going to be boosting the high end as well. And you might not want that. For example, if you have a very, very far away taiko sound, you might not want to create any kind of sharpness or click in the mids and highs. You might want the taiko to still feel like flat and kind of reverby in the mids and highs, yet you don't want any kind of constant rumble in the bass. And doing it that way will actually allow you to create a reasonable amount of punch that you want, maybe like 2 dB more, and actually have the mids and highs untouched. If you use a multiband transient enhancer like the Waves Transx Multi, it's not going to work as well because it's not sidechain. It's not going to listen to the highs. It's going to listen to everything. I mean, it's going to listen to the bass. So it's only going to try boosting based on what it hears. If the bass is flat by default, if there is a whoosh of the bass before the hit itself, it's going to misdetect. It's not going to trigger exactly on the transient. It's not going to work. And if you want to actually layer a tighter kick under, that's like the closest way to achieve that. You could simply take your taiko ensemble or whatever, filter the bass and layer a tighter kick under. But you could potentially run into phasing issues if you don't do it correctly. It might not layer as well. The kick might introduce frequencies you don't want to the actual original sound. It takes longer to do. It's just more work, and that method actually creates a really, really nice punch almost instantly. Just a quick note, you actually need to have some bass in the original sound for this to work. Of course, if your drum is very much already filtered and doesn't have a good amount of like low frequencies, it's not going to be able to create any kind of punch in the bass if there is no bass to begin with, right? If that's the case, just go layer another drum with a mid-tier bass. But for drums which already have bass but they're kind of flat, sometimes it's much worse than this, trust me. Then that's really good way to do it. So I think that that's why this technique is just that useful, and I'm going to be using it more in the future, and I hope you do too. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in another one. Cheers!